Sanders from the block at the right tackle. This is Horton and intercepted. It's picked up by Chris Harris, the top-rated quarterback in pro football.
Bauer tipped in the air and intercepted. Picked off by Chris Harris.
And Chris Harris gets him again.
Now it's intercepted by Chris Harris, who's all the way home. What a comeback for the Broncos!
Welcome to another episode of Bleav in the Broncos on the Bleav Network, sponsored by Bet Online. I am Patrick Chiotti. I'm one of your two hosts of this program. Joining me, as always, is former Denver Broncos, Super Bowl 50 champion, all-pro cornerback, Chris Harris Jr. Chris, my dude, it's good to see you. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Happy to be back. Ready to talk some ball, man. Let's get it.
Absolutely. Well, the Olympics are starting up here pretty soon. This is an exciting time because camp is like, a couple weeks away. It's exciting times. Football season's about to get back into full swing. Receiver on Netflix just came out. I'm pretty excited to see that. Chris, some talented dudes in that show. We got Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, just to name a few. I'm pretty sure that you could
St. Brown.
Yeah, St. Brown too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you could strap any one of those dudes down. It's good to see you. Good to be back for another Broncos roster breakdown episode. Our last episode, Chris, was a banger of a show. Derek Wolfe joined the program to talk about the Broncos defensive line. If you have not checked that episode out, please go check it out. This episode, we're going to be covering the edge and linebacker room for the Denver Broncos. A lot of returning players to this group, a couple guys that are gone that the Broncos might miss, maybe not, and then some fresh faces that are going to be competing for some spots. We're going to break it all down here on the newest episode of Bleav in the Broncos. But before we get into that, we have a message from our sponsors. Bet Online is your number one source for all of your sports betting needs this season, from baseball, golf, soccer, right to all the top fights in the UFC, MMA, and in boxing. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code Bleav for your 50% free bet up to $250 on your first deposit. That's promo code BLEAV for 50% bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet Online. The game starts here. And Chris, where we're going to start, of course, is with the inside linebacker group. This group has a couple of returning guys, especially one who has been really productive. If you look at the stats over the last couple of years, back-to-back 100-plus tackle seasons for veteran linebacker Alex Singleton, but his running mate, former Bronco Josey Jewell, is gone. He went and got his bag in Carolina. He's going to be a Panther this season. Chris, what does this team look like now, specifically this unit look like with Josey Jewell now gone and in Carolina?
I mean, it's a fairly, as you look at the defense as a whole, it's a fairly young group.
Yeah.
Right. And we leave Josey. He was pretty much the veteran on the team. Kareem was a vet. Justin was a vet. So now this team has got extremely young. And Singleton, now he's probably going to be the green dot guy. He's probably going to be the guy that's calling the plays in. And because I don't see anybody else that's even worthy to have that other than him, Right. With his production, having over 100 tackles the past 2 seasons. My major knock would be on him would be a little bit of coverage and then a little bit of, missed tackles. He has a lot of missed tackles. Maybe that's because he's over aggressive. Maybe it's because he's trying to make the play every time, and maybe it could be a lack of trust, which I doubt he had with Josey because, you always trust a guy like Josey. Yeah. But those are the little issues that we see with Singleton, that he does miss tackles. He has to improve on that. Maybe he have 200 tackles. You never know. But he's a solid player. We're gonna have to count on him. We're gonna have to count on the new Barton that we just brought. Is it Connor Barton, right?
Cody Barton. Yeah.
Cody Barton. which he's a solid cover. He might, but he lacks a little bit in the run game. And where did we struggle at last year as a defense?
In the run game.
Damn near last in rushing. So that's something that we're gonna have to improve in the inside. Jonas Griffin, I think he can play the run.
Oh yeah.
So we got 3 solid linebackers right there to start out, and we're gonna have to roll with those guys right there.
Yeah, Cody Barton, he was an interesting pickup. I feel like a lot of people were kind of like meh about the signing, like why are we bringing this dude in? But I mean, he's a solid tackler. When you were talking about Alex Singleton, he was one of the worst in the league when it came to tackling. Funny enough, like he and Fred Warner are right next to each other for missed tackle percentage. But Cody Barton, 5.5% missed tackle percentage, really, really low. All things considered. In coverage, his film is a lot better than what his stats make it out to be. Like, this is a guy that can carry tight ends vertical. He can carry receivers vertical up the seam. Going, I think he was going step for step with Terry McLaurin when he was playing with the Seahawks. There was
that
a snap
cover 3 system. They got to carry the middle. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. And so I think that's something that kind of encourages you, but the tackling, he's a very sound tackler. And I think that's kind of where they saw the value in him. Bringing back a guy like Jonas Griffith, who was so good in those flashes under Vic Fangio. He's a guy who's really intelligent. He's a really hard worker, just had really bad luck with injuries, but it's good because they get to bring him back on a very low value contract and get to see kind of what they have in him. Who knows what his role is going to look like? He's probably going to be that main rotational backer, especially in coverage. Another guy who is really solid playing the run, pretty good in pass coverage as well. But Chris, they did bring in one more guy into this inside linebacker group who mostly played on special teams, and that is Andre Smith, who came in as a free agent from the Atlanta Falcons, where he played the majority of his snaps on special teams. Justin Strnad was the main special teams linebacker last year. Out of this camp battle between Andre Smith and Justin Strnad, and then the rookie that they have, Lavelle Bailey, the undrafted free agent out of Fresno State. This is going to be a 3-way battle, I feel like, for this final linebacker role. What is the value there to have that kind of 4th inside linebacker who can also be your special teams ace? Yeah.
Well, you need all your linebackers to play special teams, right? Best teams, their starter and linebackers play special teams unless they're like freaking Luke Kuechly or even Bobby Wagner played a little special teams, right? Seattle, those guys had to play special teams.
That's true.
Or Pat Willis, I've never seen him do special teams, but he's probably on there earlier in his career, But in this team, I need Singleton. I need all those guys to play special teams because the lack of depth in the younger team, and you need all your backers on there. So I think all of them need to bring a value to special teams. And if you're not in those top 2 linebackers, you better be a baller on special teams, because that's how you're going to develop a role on this team. That's how you can be able to keep a job. So Griffith, his goal should be, hey, I want to be a special teams captain, right? And then, but I think he might be able to find his way in on 1st, 2nd downs, because I think he might be a better run stopper than Barton. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of scheme they go, because I know also Vance Joseph likes to do dime backers, and he'll bring probably Stearns, probably play the dime, and do a lot of the covering. So you might only need one linebacker for the first, or 2 linebackers for the 1st, 2nd down. And then he's taking one of them out anyways. Yeah. Right. So the backer position, the inside backer position is going to mainly have to be, they're going to have rundowns. Singleton will probably be in all 3 downs. And the other guys got to be contributors on special teams, right? We need those guys making plays. And that's how I kind of see the rotation going. 3rd down, take out one of the linebackers, play with one linebacker, bring in Stern so we can have some speed out there. That's what I would do if I'm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, to your point, the special team snaps. I'm looking at Jonas Griffith's special team snap. He played 148 snaps on special team in 2021. Didn't play in 2022. Or sorry, he did. He played looks like 477 snaps on special teams. Before he was injured last season. I mean, this is a guy who could be a really key player in that area. And that's also an area where Denver wanted to get better last year, and they did. And now the focus is on having those rotational guys who can play well, in those certain situations on, first, second down, play the run very well, come off the field, let third down go. And then on fourth down, you come out and play well on special teams, just execute and do your job. I think that's going to be the key. So when camp starts, I think that battle right there between Griffith, Smith, and Strnad, I think that's going to be the big thing. They brought back Strnad. He was a free agent. He could have gone anywhere, and they brought him back. Yeah. So clearly they saw something that they liked. Definitely a big special team contributor. But for right now, Alex Singleton, Cody Barton, I feel like Jonas Griffith is probably a safe bet to make this roster, especially if he's healthy, because when he was healthy, he was balling
scrappy.
Out. Yeah. He's big too, 6'4", 250. Like with the emphasis of going to heavier boxes, Cody Barton really doesn't fit that. Like he's hovering around 235, but Jonas Griffith is a big dude. He's fast. He's athletic. He's got a nose for the football. I like this dude as being, like you said, a first, second down guy. Bring the run defense in. Let's get back to physical football. But Chris, this episode, we all know this episode is for the pass rush. Broncos have been one of the worst teams in the NFL these last couple of years in pass rush production, in sacks, in pressures. This is a unit that has just struggled since your boy Von Miller left the team. We have not had a bona fide pass rush star in Denver. Hopefully this can kind of change. This group has a lot of potential to. Baron Browning is fully back from his injury. Nick Bonito kind of came into his own last year, started getting more wins off the edge. Jonathan Cooper has been just Mr. Consistent over the last couple of seasons. A lot of names in this room. They brought in Jonah Ellis as a third-round pick. Chris, how do you feel going into this season? Let's just stick with the big three. How do you feel about the trio of Bonito, Browning, and Cooper going into this season?
Yeah. I think last year they're probably middle of the pack, 42 sacks, which isn't bad, but it isn't elite, right? It's not, I'm not going to say if having 42 sacks is bad, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, because I could work with that as a DB, right? But when I look at their defense, the quarterback passer rating is we're like the second worst in the league. Right. So that means we're not affecting the quarterback enough, right, as a whole. And the guys that I can see that we do need to step up, we do need Browning, right? I think he had 4.5 sacks, 10 games. I think he played last year, which isn't bad, but we need him to be on the field. We need him to be a consistent guy with this trio with Bonito and Cooper. Cooper, I thought, has been consistent over his past, over the past couple of years. But he hadn't had that breakout, season, right, to show that I'm a Pro Bowl type rusher. I don't know if we have that Pro Bowl rusher yet. I think we have 3 quality guys that can get the job done, but they're not, they're not no guys that they're not no blue chippers where the offense is completely changing their scheme for this guy, right, like a Von Miller.
No Brian Burns, no Von Miller. There's
no guys like that. So, but you do have a solid group that if you can have some good blitzes, come up with some good schemes, because you have 3 solid, I would say you have 2 solid rushers inside. So if we can work together with those guys, with Jared Allen or with Allen, and being able to DJ Jones and those guys being able to work some pass rush games, they could get some rush.
Yeah.
I can see them probably being, let's give them 55, 50, let's go 50 sacks this year. Let's go up more, seeing that Browning's going to play more.
Yeah.
And that will probably have them, above average, because I see everybody else is going to be in the 50s to 60s, 65, around in that range.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for Baron Browning, I mean, obviously, that first season when he was playing under Vic, he was playing a lot of inside backer. And then they move him outside, and it's like, holy crap, he can, he's an athlete. He's got that explosiveness. Derek Wolfe talked about that in the last show. That was the one guy that he had to talk about was Baron Browning. And I think for a good reason. Looking at his numbers, Chris, in 2022, he produced 38 pressures on the whole season, 38 pressures, 27 hurries, 5 quarterback hits, and 6 sacks. And that was like a full season's worth of work for him. Last season, his first game was week 7. His first game was week 7. And he had 35 pressures, 5 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, and 25 hurries. This dude is coming along. And if this is the breakout season, God, let's hope that it is the breakout season. If he's completely healthy and he's 100% ready to go, this could be a guy that could be a real game changer. And then on the flip side, Jonathan Cooper, 7th round pick, last in 2022, 19 total pressures, 11 hurries, 6 quarterback hits, 2 sacks. Last season, that number jumped up to 55 total pressures in almost double the snaps. So they doubled his snaps, and he got more than double the amount of pressures. He's getting there. It's starting to come along. Just like, which one of those dudes is going to pop off? And the other thing, Chris, both of these guys are in contract years. Nick Bonitto still has another year on his rookie deal. So I'm going to ask you this question. Of Baron Browning and Jonathan Cooper, let's say both of them have good years. They're just consistent with their numbers and their pass rush rate. And let's say it's, pretty similar. Okay. Of those two guys, which one would you be more inclined to re-sign to another deal? Or would
I think they'll go with Cooper. Just him being playing more, being healthier, being more consistent availability. They might go with him. I think they have enough money next year to pay both of them if they need to, because I really don't think, unless they just go crazy, the market for them is going to be, I think the Broncos should be in the field being able to pay for them. And it's not like they have any, unless Ellis just goes off. Yeah. Right? If Ellis goes off, then that makes them expendable. Bonitto goes off, that makes one of them expendable. Yeah. Right? So if we can keep both of them, which I don't see the issue why we can't keep both of them next year, unless somebody's just out there just better. That's a better pass rusher. We would have to look into the free agency for next season. Yeah. But I would have to choose. If I have to choose one of them, I would have to go with Cooper. Not saying that he's better than Barron. Is that he's just been there. He's been healthy. He's been consistent. I know I have a better. I feel more comfortable with Cooper, paying Cooper. If I have to pay money, I feel a little bit more money. I feel comfortable paying you a little bit more. So I think that might be the direction they go in.
Yeah, and I mean, Baron Browning has yet to surpass 575 snaps in a season. Rookie year, he played 528. 2022, he played 569. Last year, he played 445.
And those aren't a lot of snaps at all.
No, it's not. Nick Bonitto played 524 snaps last year.
Yeah.
He played 80 more snaps than Baron Browning and finished with 12 more pressures, which is, good for Nick Bonitto. He had a great season last year. And I mean, 9 sacks, jumping up from 2 sacks in his rookie year to 9 sacks. The only thing is Nick Bonitto is not a good tackler. 34.3% missed tackle rate. That has to get better this year. And he's like, that's the thing. He's still cost controlled. You still have him under contract for another 2 seasons. I like, this is going to be one of those situations where maybe they do end up paying both Barron and Cooper next year and use Nick Bonito as trade bait. Teams want pass rushers, man. And if Jonah Ellis pops off, I think that makes Nick Bonito expendable.
And I think one thing that we can't miss is that our edge rushers were, I would give them a D+ on setting the edge. Right. It's not all about pass rush, even though pass rush sacks get you money. Right. Our edge was not, we didn't have any pushback, knocking them back. I didn't see no like Von Miller, swim move, slippery, TFLs, those are things that we have to improve on because
definitely
a lot of the runs, I'm just being honest, came on the outside. Right.
Yeah, they're getting around
the edge. So we have to be better at being the edge. Like you said, Bonito's tackling was bad. We got to look at the stats for Browning and Cooper. But just from watching the games, right, we got to be able to push those guys back, make the edge a little bit more, like make them go around more, and then the back guys on the defense can speed up. But if he can just go straight downhill off the edge all day, of course we're going to be last in rushing again. We're going to give up 5 yards a carry. So not only do we have to get our sacks up, we have to be way better on the run defense on that edge to be able to keep those guys from getting the corner.
Yeah, I think that's like you bring up such a good point because I feel like so many people when they see edge, they get blinded, right? They think about a Von Miller and they think, well, this guy's just got to be an elite pass rusher. Von was probably one of the best like edge setter, like true edge setters throughout his whole tenure in Denver. Easily one of the best edge setters that I've ever seen. You know, and shout out to Elvis Dumerville and DeMarcus Ware for helping him along the way, because I feel like those two dudes were also very, very good at just setting the edge. Baron Browning, 16% missed tackle rate. Nick Bonito up in the 30s. Jonathan Cooper last year was 12.7. So not great. But Jonathan
How many
Cooper,
TFLs did they have?
Ooh, I don't have TFLs in front of me, but I do have stops. And Jonathan Cooper, I can tell you, was the best of those three in getting stops. He had 32 stops, and Nick Bonito had 21. Baron Browning had 16, I believe. So Jonathan Cooper had almost as many stops as both of those dudes combined.
So he's our best edge rush defender.
He's our best edge defender. Yes, absolutely. Which I think, like, to your point, if you wanted to pay both of those dudes, like, they'll absolutely have the flexibility to, but like, I agree with you 100%. I think Jonathan Cooper is the guy that I would probably re-sign. He's a great dude from everything that I've heard. He's a fantastic guy. He's very loyal. And I feel like for a 7th round pick, he's going to get a good, solid deal. But is he going to be willing to test the open market? Is that what he's going to want to do since edge rushers are getting paid? I don't know. But I think also it's going to depend on also, like you said, how Jonah Ellis comes out. Jonah Ellis is a dude who, he's a legacy Bronco player. His dad played for the Broncos. Last season, Chris, in NCAA, he was tied for 25th in total pressures. He was 5th in the NCAA in sacks, and he was 11th in win percentage. He is productive as they come, and he's a really solid run defender. So I don't know. I like
Ellis. I love that pick. I think that's going to be a good pick, man. He had very high production in a tough league. The Pac-12, I give them, that's a tough league now. That's a lot of solid teams over there now. He was very productive. He could rush. He could play the run. I know his dad, being around his family, he's going to be tough, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, he's a legacy Bronco. He knows what he has to do to be ready. Yeah. Right. I think he was injured. Did he get injured in the OTA?
Yeah, he had some minor thing, but he'll
Yeah, he'll be ready to roll. That's what I was gonna say. He had like a minor injury. I seen that he had nicked up OTAs, but I suspect this guy to have a big impact for us, right? Because you never know what's gonna happen with Browning, right? He could get nipped up quick. You never know with those guys. So you got to get Ellis ready to go. We're gonna need that production, and there's a reason why they got him in the 3rd round.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Maybe
they had him higher too. They had him graded at like a 2nd rounder.
Yeah, so maybe they know something or something that we don't know. Maybe they might be moving on with one of the edges, and they're ready to implement him. So, but I think you need all 4, right? It's going to take that group, because when we won the Super Bowl, we had Shane, Shaq Barrett. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of reserves guys that could go rush, right? Mm-hmm. And you got to have that, right? You got to have a good mixture. Vaughn wasn't going to play the whole game.
He couldn't.
Plays, do their job well, and I think that'll be solid for him to get like a rotational his rookie year. Kind of like how Shaq did. We seen how Shaq did it. He was rotational for 3 or 4 years. Yeah, right. And then bam, gets paid, wins another Super Bowl, then gets more Pro Bowls and All Pros. So I've seen that development work for guys. And I wouldn't be sad if Jonah did rotational this first year with those 3 DNs.
I feel like it's going to be like that. That's a necessity. Like also Vance Joseph hates the stigma is he hates playing rookies, right? So Jonah's going to get those reps, and I feel like as the season goes on, he's going to be getting more and more of those reps. Early in the season, he'll be a special teamer. He'll be a situational guy. But, or if he shows out at camp, hey, you've earned that rotation spot. Get in there. Yeah. You're going to be one of our key 3rd down guys. I would not be surprised in the least. I mean, last season they used so many different fronts. And I feel like they can use – like Barron's one of those dudes that you can use like as an A-gap guy, right? Nick Bonito also played some snaps like in the A and the B gap, and they had him going off on like twists and stunts and stuff like that. Like there's so many different ways. And we know Vance, more than anybody, Vance's blitzing is very unique. It's very dialed in, and he'll use guys all over the place. And a lot of those guys are very, very athletic dudes who can play a wide variety of roles. I wouldn't be surprised if we see, Jonah Ellis out there on 3rd down with Nick Bonito and Baron Browning. Who knows? There's a whole myriad of mix-ups and mashes that they can use with a guy like Jonah Ellis, who is so productive off the edge. Chris, another guy, before we get out of here, another guy that they brought in was Dondre Tillman from the UFL. And now he was on the championship team, the Birmingham Stallions. He led Birmingham in pass rush win rate and pass rush productivity this last season. And this is a big dude, 6'3", 6'4", 270 coming off the edge. This is another guy that they could use inside, outside. Do you think that there's any chance of this guy making the roster for the Denver Broncos?
Man, him being 270, I kind of see him being, playing that 3-tech, rotating, competing with Zach Allen and those guys. Damn. So it's going to be, because he's so big. Yeah. Right. It's hard,
He's not really an edge guy.
Yeah, he's not really outside linebacker, 270, he's not Myles Garrett. Right? So, but he had a hell of a year, in the UFL. Mm-hmm. Tons of production. You got to ball out if you want to get picked up from there and get a chance to go to camp. So I'm excited to see what he does. Hopefully he's a great takes advantage of this opportunity, man. It's a hell of an opportunity for the kid to be fighting for your life, fighting for your life in UFL, get a chance to go to the Denver Broncos. Yeah. Hey, that should motivate you right there, as a young player, given that opportunity. So hopefully he takes advantage of it. He's that guy that's that splash guy and forces his way on the team because there's still spots. I would say there's at every position, right? There's one spot open at least.
It has
right? At least one spot open at the linebacker, edge, outside, corner. Safety might be the only position that probably is like they got their guys kind of.
Yeah.
But every spot on the defense, you got spots open, right? And that's never like that in the NFL. To have this many spots open to be able to make the team. So, hey guys, if you ever watch, you got to take advantage of this opportunity to make the Broncos, man. It's a great chance right now.
Amen. All right, Chris, before we get out of here, I think we talked about keeping 5 edge guys. Okay. So 5 edge guys and 4 inside linebackers. Who are your 4 inside linebackers? Let's start there.
Barton, Singleton, Griffith, and Sternard, right?
Sternard, yeah.
Sternard. And then that's I'm saying that last spot, Drew Sanders would have been there. So that last spot, it's up for grabs for these guys, to be able to compete. But I'm gonna go with Andre Smith. I'm gonna go with the veteran guy.
Yeah,
solid in special teams. I'm gonna go with him to make that 5th spot.
Big time.
The end, the big 4: Ellis, Browning, Browning. Who else am I missing? Cooper,
Benito,
and I'm trying to think who else am I missing?
Benito,
Nick Benito.
So there's your 4 edge guys. Give me one more edge guy. They kept 5 last season.
Let's go with Tillman, man. Let's say Tillman.
You got him making the team.
I'm gonna go with Tillman being the sneaky pickup making the team. I like Ronnie Perks though.
Yeah. He was fine.
He has some. I think he has some. He has some talent. Yeah. He came in, did solid.
Practice squad dude. Same with Incoom. Like Incoom was a practice squad dude. Like it showed flashes, but he's not gonna wow you. I feel like Tillman is just gonna come in and be a disruptor, and that's what you need.
He might make it, man. He might make it. I went watched a little bit of his highlights on YouTube, and I'm like, hey man, this dude. I mean, they're playing a 4-3. That's why I can see him being like the 3 technique on this team. Probably he could do edge on 3rd down.
Get some push. That's what they need.
I think he's my surprise guy on the D line to make the team. Him, Ronnie Perkins. Let me think who else could. Those are probably the only 2 right there that I've be able to just check those guys out that can make the team.
Yeah.
But we need to see Benito. We need to see Cooper. We need to see Browning go to that next level.
Yeah.
They're all close to getting 10 sacks other than Browning. I think Browning, just because he played half the season.
Yeah.
But,
But, man, if he played a full season, he's got like 12 sacks.
Yeah. They can all 3. We can have 3 guys with 10 sacks if they really want to go get it. So
that'd be nuts.
That would be nice.
That would be absolutely insane. And it would be like the best pass rush that we've had in a long time. But like you said, there's more to being an edge than just the pass rush. You got to be able to set that edge. You got to be able to play good run defense. And I hope that that's a better emphasis this season as we get closer to training camp, man. We're 3 weeks away. This is insane. Football season is right around the corner. So make sure that you stay with us on Bleav in the Broncos on the Bleav Network. Shout out to Chris Harris Jr., man. You always bring the juice. Make sure that you catch the next Broncos roster breakdown episode. The next one we're saving tight ends for last. We're not doing tight ends. We're going to do quarterbacks the next one because that's the one that everybody wants to hear is the quarterback. Everybody keeps saying, where's the quarterback episode? It's coming, I promise. But make sure that you subscribe to the show on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. Make sure that you follow Chris and I on Twitter at Chris Harris Jr., at Patrick Chiotti. Make sure you follow at Bleav Network as well. And make sure that you go over to the YouTube, man. That channel is popping off. We're going to be posting all these interviews and episodes over there. Who knows? We might have a special quarterback guest for the next episode. It's not going to be Peyton Manning. I can promise you that. Chris, any last words before we get out of here?
Oh, no problem, man. That was fun. salute everybody out there, listening. Keep tuning in. We're going to keep bringing some fun guests and, make it fun on here and just continue to break down the Broncos. And hopefully this is where you're getting your honest. We try to give the most honest opinion, right, of what we see with our own eyes, studying these guys, looking at the analytics, looking at the scheme of things, and hopefully we're able to break it down and give y'all the best information possible for what you need for your team.
That's all it's about, man. We appreciate y'all so much. Broncos country. Until next time, go Broncos.